Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7. We're at episode number 1676 today, and today it is Super Bowl Sunday's aftermath. It's Monday the 4th, and I'm actually recording this before Super Bowl Sunday, so we may be talking about, oh gosh, it is fingers crossed, something from episode 9, maybe, the remote slim possibility. I was just talking with someone, actually a patron of the show, named Doug Kenyon last night, and we were just talking about how frustrating it is waiting for something to be told to us about episode 9. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we're sitting here on a day when you're listening to this or watching this and being excited about the fact that we've heard something about episode 9 that we didn't know, because I don't think it's going to happen. But be that as it may, the episode of Resistance, the First Order occupation that debuted Sunday night, was actually rather an exciting one, and I would say one of the most action and tension-packed ones that they've had all year long. It feels like we are building up to something very strong here toward the end of the season, and that's really good news. And we are in full spoiler mode on this, so if you haven't watched the episode and you don't want to know what happens, then by all means save this for a later date. But if you're cool with me explaining exactly how the puzzle pieces are coming together, then let's do it. We've got 4 factions basically that we're kind of looking at here, and all of them are continuing to deal with changing circumstances. Starting off with Captain Doza, the leader of the Colossus platform, he is in some very familiar territory, at least as far as Star Wars fans go. He's in Lando Calrissian territory, where he's kind of let the First Order in a little bit, and they are taking things beyond what at least Captain Doza's idea of their presence on the platform was supposed to be about, that they might be exceeding the authority that he has allowed them. And in his communications with Commander Pyre is saying, hey, you need us for this security, and we're keeping things safe for you. Meanwhile, the First Order is going around arresting people for loitering beyond curfews and demanding that people produce identification at random. So yeah, this deal is getting worse all the time kind of scenario. And of course, Kaz is going to get drawn up in this, and so let's talk about Kaz a little bit, because he was seen on security camera footage the night that Doza was kidnapped near the tower. And actually, you know what? We'll back up away from Kaz a little bit. We'll switch over to the pirate scenario, and everything's kind of tying together. The pirates can't get within 5 kilometers of the platform now. They have, been cast out by the First Order. They've been used for the purposes that they needed to be used for, and that's it. And it doesn't sound like they have any particular plans to try to get even with the First Order. I think they know they're outmatched in that regard. And so as it comes to Synara on the platform, the First Order is also looking for Synara as well. And so, she being a part of the pirate thing, she's not willing to necessarily leave the pirate situation, even though technically she kind of betrayed the pirates by calling attention to the fact that they were kidnapping Doza. But I don't think they know that that's the case just yet. So she calls Kragan and says, hey, you got to get me out of here, because the First Order has actually locked down the Colossus platform. Nobody else is leaving or arriving unless the First Order knows about it. And Kragan says, yeah, we can't get near the platform, so, you're going to have to get out of there if you want to get out of there. Get at least 5 kilometers away and we'll be able to pick you up. Meanwhile, we'll swing back to Kaz. Kaz actually is trailing Synara because he knows that the First Order is now looking for a pirate spy, not just any spy. Thank goodness, because of course, as soon as they start questioning him, he's like, what, pirate spy or spy? I don't know a spy. I've never seen a spy. If I've seen a spy, I wouldn't know what a spy, everything that you have to remind yourself that this is a cartoon, and it's a cartoon primarily pitched for kids. So of course it's going to be played for comedic effect like that, and the First Order people aren't going to notice, this guy's acting suspicious, let's take him in, So as soon as he figures out they're looking for a pirate spy, he's like, we got to find Synara before they do, to BB-8. And they find her having this private communication with Kragan, the head pirate. And so now Kaz is totally in on the situation. He knows the pirates were working with the First Order. He knows the First Order has betrayed the pirates, and he needs to get a message out to the Resistance about this, and Yeager won't let him do it because he knows the First Order is monitoring communications, or must be, and so he's going to have to wait for Poe to reach out, which is going to happen maybe next episode. That's the new Trooper episode where Kaz is going to take on the armor of a First Order trooper and get more intel. But really, it'll probably be with Core Problem, which is 2 episodes from now, where he and Poe are going to go out on another mission together somewhere. But in the meantime, Kaz has to argue with BB-8 and say, hey, we got to help her get off the platform. Yeah, she may be allied with the pirates, but she did actually turn around and try to help Tora in the end, and I kind of like her, but is a friend really, I will say, with all the slapstick and so on and so forth that goes on, sometimes it's a little hard to reconcile Christopher Sean. I see the picture on his Twitter account of him that's very action hero like, and then we get to see him as a voice actor portraying this very bumbling and young and naive and yet earnest teenager trying to do the right thing in the middle of all this. And it's kind of funny just to see this macho photo and him getting slammed on the head by escape pod latches as he's trying to have tender moments with a fellow teenager that he kind of likes but doesn't quite know how to do anything about it. And I have to give kudos also to Josh Brenner, who ultimately does more of his wonderful comedic stuff with Niku in this episode. And yeah, the whole thing about him taking things literally is well played throughout. The other thing too is just about not putting it under the same lens as, say, something that is, for adults in it, live action. Just, there are so many times when the First Order walked right by Synara where they didn't even react, and where they had to have seen Kaz helping out and, that was Kaziono, he was helping out the pirate spy, so, we got to put him on our watch list now. Or that, Niku had to be running around in the midst of all this. There was that weird ball droid that sprayed us with smoke. It's a weird process to have to remind yourself about that sometimes. But ultimately, it was a very well played, very tense episode. And you can see how things are getting ratcheted up here. And the fact that the pirate spy has escaped, I imagine, is only going to lead to more problems with the First Order and with Doza's authority getting undermined by the First Order even further. And there are 2 extra little tidbits I'm going to share with you, one of which has to do with completing a thought that was in the mid-season trailer that was left hanging but has now been completed inside this episode, and one other theme that they've carried through to multiple episodes, actually 2 of them. So we'll do 3 things after I briefly ask you to subscribe to the show if you're not doing it already, and also consider supporting this daily dose of Star Wars joy at patreon.com/SW7x7. So, as far as the statement that was completed in the mid-season trailer, well, there's one thing that Kaz observes about the stormtroopers. These are stormtroopers, and stormtroopers are only for one thing, and they don't say what it is in the trailer, but the answer is in this episode, and that one thing is war. Just so you know. Also, I am noticing that these flying fish things that they've shown over the last couple of episodes, it seems like more and more of them are appearing on screen now, and I'm there's no Force user situation unless it's Ayla from the Children from Tehar necessarily that are really active on the platform. So I don't think we can bring any sort of convoy situation into this thing, like those birds that appear at very important moments in Star Wars Rebels. But it is interesting that they've shown us a few flying here and there in the previous episode, the Doza Dilemma, and I think there were more this time around in the First Order Occupation episode. And then there is one last other thing, which just is, at least for me, very fun. Another situation where we have bossa nova music playing, and this time in the elevator as Kaz and Synara are heading down to the escape pods. And I always love, personally, to hear a little bit of bossa nova music. I love how they managed to work that into the soundtrack. So, congratulations and thank yous to everybody involved in that situation. That would be Michael Tavera in particular. So, Michael, thank you very much. And that is officially going to do it for this episode. So, Thank you very much for joining me for it, as always. And may the Force be with you, wherever in the world you may be.
This podcast is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox. It is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other related Star Wars items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2019 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.